You thought Hamilton was done, didn't you? That he'd come to Ferrari just to fade quietly behind Leclerc, another legend swallowed by Maranello's politics. Admit it. But in Mexico, everything changed. P3 on paper meant nothing. What mattered was what Ferrari tried to hide behind the data. Minutes after stepping out of the SF-25, Hamilton asked a question no one expected. "Show me my telemetry." Silence. Engineers froze. Ricardo Adami avoided eye contact. When the data appeared, jaws dropped. Hamilton's car had been running with rear instability so severe it should have kept him out of Q3 entirely. Wrong balance, wrong bias, wrong call. And yet, he'd put that broken setup within 3/10 of pole. Leclerc couldn't believe it. Adami couldn't explain it. And somewhere in that silence, Ferrari realized the truth. Hamilton isn't the one who needs fixing. The system around him is. Inside the Ferrari garage, the silence after qualifying wasn't relief. It was tension. Ricardo Adami's screen still showed Hamilton's data trace, a red line cutting through everything the team thought they understood. He replayed the lap over and over. The car should have been undrivable. The rear was sliding through Sector 2. The braking zones were uneven, yet Hamilton had controlled it perfectly, millimeter by millimeter. Did he really drive that? One engineer whispered. Adami didn't answer, because he knew the truth. Hamilton had warned them about that very instability hours earlier. They'd dismissed it as driver preference. Now, that preference had just beaten Red Bull and Mercedes. In the debrief, Hamilton leaned forward, calm and surgical. "You gave me a car out of balance," he said, eyes fixed on the datasheet, "and I still made it work." Leclerc avoided his gaze. Vasseur said nothing. This wasn't just about setup anymore, it was about control. Hamilton wasn't following Ferrari's system, he was exposing it, and Adami could feel it. The old Ferrari hierarchy was cracking, and it was his headset that caught the first fracture. Charles Leclerc sat there, still in his red race suit, staring at the data screens like they were written in another language. He'd been Ferrari's golden child for years, the symbol of youth, precision, loyalty. But tonight, all that shine looked fragile. Hamilton's P3 wasn't supposed to mean anything, yet it felt like a victory that belonged entirely to him. Leclerc had gone faster by a fraction, but everyone in that room knew it didn't matter, because Hamilton's data told a story of something much bigger. Same car, different reality. His rear balance was off by 3%, one engineer whispered. He shouldn't have been that close. Leclerc forced a smile. Yeah, but he wasn't faster. It was a weak defense. Even he could hear it. Hamilton didn't respond. He just nodded once, not in defeat, but in confirmation. He had made his point without saying a word. For the first time, Leclerc felt what others rarely dared to admit. Hamilton wasn't adapting to Ferrari. Ferrari was bending around him, and that scared Leclerc more than losing pole ever could. The debrief room felt colder than usual. No one dared to speak first, not even Vasseur. Hamilton sat back, arms folded, the image of calm dominance. Leclerc tapped his pen nervously, waiting for someone to explain how a car with the wrong setup had just outperformed expectations by half a second. Hamilton broke the silence. "Next time," he said quietly, "if we trust the data more than the driver, we'll keep getting the same results." No one argued, because everyone knew Ferrari had trusted the data, the wrong data. Adami tried to defend the decision, mumbling about simulator correlation and baseline alignment. Hamilton leaned forward. "Baseline means nothing," he said sharply. "You build around what works, not what's comfortable." Leclerc looked down, pretending to make notes, but his expression said it all. This wasn't just feedback. It was a warning shot. The meeting ended without applause, without small talk, just quiet realization. Hamilton wasn't here to adapt. He was here to lead. And with every session, Ferrari's old culture, the one built on caution and pride, was being replaced by something new: accountability. By midnight, the message had already spread through Maranello's encrypted channels. Hamilton's debrief wasn't private anymore. Someone inside had leaked the recording, not to the press, but to the engineers back at the factory. He told them the car was wrong and still delivered P3, one mechanic wrote in a group chat. "Yeah," another replied, and Leclerc had the better setup. The whispers turned into quiet admiration. For years, Ferrari's drivers had followed orders, protected the hierarchy, and avoided public confrontation. But Hamilton's calm defiance had cracked that code. He hadn't shouted, he hadn't blamed. He'd simply shown, with numbers, that Ferrari's system was outdated. Back at the hotel, Hamilton reviewed his telemetry again, alone. He noticed something no one else did, a recurring data glitch between turns 7 and 8. Software misread, Adami had called it, but Hamilton knew better. That glitch had cost him 2/10, exactly the gap to pole. He didn't need to say anything yet, because now, for the first time, Ferrari was listening, not to Leclerc, not to excuses, but to him. The next morning, Maranello woke up divided. Half the team believed Hamilton had gone too far. The other half believed he was the first driver brave enough to say what everyone else was too afraid to. When Hamilton arrived at the track, Vasseur was waiting for him, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Lewis," he said, "we can't have this kind of tension. The media didn't leak that recording," Hamilton interrupted. "Your garage did." For a moment, even Vasseur had no answer. Hamilton's tone wasn't aggressive, it was surgical. Calm, precise, devastating. Riccardo Adami joined the meeting late, headset in hand. He looked exhausted, like a man who'd spent the night rewriting excuses. Hamilton didn't even look at him. "You made changes I didn't approve," he said. "Next time you tell me before you tell the simulator." Adami started to explain, something about balance, predictive models, team decisions, but Hamilton raised his hand. "Stop. Just give me the car I asked for in Brazil, nothing else." And then he left the room. No shouting, no drama, just authority. Behind him, silence. The kind that means control has changed hands. For Leclerc, the tension had become unbearable. He'd spent years being Ferrari's future, the one they built around, the one they protected. But now, the team's energy was shifting toward the man he once admired from afar. Hamilton's presence was different. He didn't demand respect, he commanded it. Even when silent, the garage adjusted to him. Engineers listened differently, strategy meetings moved faster, and decisions that used to drag on were now made in minutes. Leclerc felt it during the morning warm-up in Mexico. When Hamilton walked into the garage, every eye turned. The same mechanics who once rallied around him were now watching Lewis, waiting for the smallest nod of approval. "Do you feel that?" Leclerc asked his race engineer over the radio. "Everything's about him now." The reply came hesitantly. "He's bringing results, Charles." Leclerc clenched his jaw. For the first time since joining Ferrari, he wasn't the one setting the tone. He was reacting to it. And deep down, he realized something terrifying. If Hamilton ever truly aligned this team behind him, there'd be no way back. Not for Leclerc, not for anyone. Hours before leaving Mexico, Hamilton sent one final message over the Ferrari radio. Short, calm, and deliberate. "Good work, team, but we left time on the table. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again." It wasn't a complaint. It was a command disguised as encouragement, and everyone in Maranello understood exactly what it meant. In the control room, Adami sat motionless, headset still on. He knew Hamilton wasn't just talking about setup or strategy, he was talking about trust. The kind of trust Ferrari had lost years ago under layers of politics and hesitation. Leclerc didn't reply. He'd already packed, head down, silent. He knew Brazil would be another test, not of speed, but of control. The garage could only follow one leader, and for the first time, it wasn't him. As the transporters left the circuit, a quiet phrase began circulating among the mechanics, a mix of admiration and warning. "Hamilton doesn't need to shout, he just changes everything." Next stop, São Paulo, a race that won't just decide positions. It'll decide who truly runs Ferrari from within.